and welcome to Curdcast, the podcast for people who eat cheese and maybe wear earrings or not wear earrings, appreciate earrings. I'm your host, Jen Mason, and my co-host, Julie Fafen-Balzer, is here or there remotely. Hello, Julie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? I get to eat cheese today.
Well, it's a good day. It's a very good day, and we are diving into our Flex box. For those of you who've been listening to our podcast or haven't, let me tell you, this is our podcast for Curdbox. You can go to curdbox.com and get your own box. But we now have two boxes going year round. We have the OG curd box and our new curdboxFLEX, and they're almost the same thing. 3 cheeses, 3 pairings that go together. They all revolve around a theme, but curdboxFLEX is the creation we've made, the box we've made that is vegetarian, and it is nut-free, and it is gluten-free. So this helps multiple people with some dietary restrictions enjoy really great food. So we're super excited about this box. But if you want meat and you want gluten and you want nuts, our OG, our original curd box is for you. And this is for those who share or want to gift this to people who can't eat nuts, gluten, or meat, or choose not to. So having said that, this is our American Beauties box, and it is so easy to build a box themed around things made in America, because we make some really good stuff. And Julie, you and I have experienced some of these things in our regular box, but we've recurated. We've gone through some of our favorites that fall into this category, and we've put them in a new story. And so the story for this is American Beauties, and I'm excited to have you on this podcast as well. It's the same podcast.
I had some deja vu when I was opening the box. I was like, I think, because usually I open the box and I'm like, everything's new. It's all so different. And this time I was like, wait, I remember this. I really love this. Oh, wait. And I like this too. And by the way, my 2-year-old immediately, I was cutting up the cheese in the kitchen, and I can only tell you that there is no toma except what I saved for my cheese plate left, because apparently it is, and I quote, yummy.
Yeah, this is like, well, I think this was his favorite last time too. I think we had the same problem when we put this in the other box. So for those who are subscribing to the curdboxFLEX, that is flexible for your diet, this one is, we have 6 different stories right now. So these will repeat every 6 months, but every month you'll try something new. And for 6 months, it'll be something new every time. They don't, they repeat after 6 months. So in our regular curd box, because that one has grown so big, we actually do a different story every month. And we have people who've been subscribing now for more than 3 years, and they have really we've never duplicated. We've duplicated a size once. We did a big Harbison and a little Harbison, and we are going to start bringing back some of the favorites in there. But for the most part, in a year, you're never going to try the same thing twice. You might get something from the same producer, and sometimes that's on purpose because we want you to try 2 different things they make, or because we like these things so much and we love working with them. But,
I'm a fan of the new. I always like having something new, but there is something nice when I open this box and saw so many things that I know I already like, about being like, oh, wait, here's some familiar things with some new things. Because one of the things I always tell people as a teacher is that you don't want to have everything new when you're trying to learn, because then you're trying to learn too many things at the same time. Right. If you compare it with some things that are more familiar to you, and I'm talking about art making, but I think this is true here with eating and stuff, then it's like you sort of know what you're going to get with that, so that you can really focus on the thing that's new and understanding it, and sort of breaking it down.
Exactly. So we should get started. For the new Flex listeners that are new to this box, what we do is for the Curdbox people who are new to Curdbox, is Julie and I have the hard job of eating through the box, discussing it. I take on the role of expert as much as anybody can be an expert in cheese and pairings. I am an expert in cheese and pairings. I am not an expert in cheese. I don't make cheese. I know a lot about it. I am a wannabe expert. And Julie is an expert.
I'm an expert in eating with loud noises and then talking about what I've eaten.
And she occasionally will sing for us too. But she'll ask the questions. I will try to answer them. And we'll walk you through this box. It's great to listen to this before you open your box, while you're eating your box, after you've eaten your box. 3 weeks later, when you need something to listen to in the car on the way to work, you'll learn something every time. But it's fun to do it when you have cheese as well. So our first thing we're going to try today is our Prairie Breeze. And this is this had to go in this box because, and by the way, I've because this is a cheddar, I've chosen to nugget it. Use the point of your knife and wiggle it in your cheese, and it sort of breaks off in like curd shapes. Oh, it's really hard to see. And I just let it break where it wants to break. And this is a store favorite. I can't tell you in the 4 years that we've owned our Curds & Co store how many hundreds of pounds we've sold of this.
This cheese feels sweet. I don't know how else to put it. I know there's nothing on it, and it's definitely savory because it's cheese and there's salt, but it has such a sweetness, and plus the mouthfeel is amazing. And it just melts. I can feel it in the back of my mouth, on the top of the roof of my, this is such a good, yummy cheese. And it's almost, even though it's a hard cheese because it's a cheddar, it has some gooey qualities to it that are just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, this is a very fun cheddar. It's an award winner. This is made by Milton Creamery, and they are coming to us from Iowa, and they have been making this beautiful cheese for a while now. Since let me see. So they started making cheese in around 2000, the year 2000. They had their own cows. They now use milk from about, I don't know how many, they're all local dairies. They make so much now they don't have the herds for all of them. But nobody has more than 120 cows. It's all local dairies. And you can tell because it tastes good. It's good milk. It's happy cows, which is really fantastic. This cheese is 9 to 12 months. This is the oldest cheese in this box. And that's why you can taste those like little crystals, or if people hold it up, they might see the little tyrosine crystals. It's protein that they taste like little salt pocket bursts, but it's really.
You're talking about like these little white spots that you see in it that I've always wondered if they were mold or something, but they're not.
No, they're what happens to the protein as it ages, as moisture goes out. And in some cheeses, they'll be really crunchy. You'll see a lot of them in a very old Parm. You'll see a lot of them in an aged Gouda. And this isn't that old of a cheddar. I mean, 9 to 12 months is old. You eat a lot of cheddars younger than that, but a Parm can be multiple years. But and the cultures that they use in this do make it a sweet profile cheddar. So you might have tried like a really what normal everyday average smart people would call like a really sharp cheese, which is let's see an aged Irish cheddar, and they'll have more of an acidic bite to it. This is got a whole different flavor profile. It's nice if you ever wanted to do a just cheddar tasting. This is a style I would definitely have. I would also add a cloth bound cheddar to it, which would be a different texture. It wouldn't be as creamy like this. And
so could you put the same ingredients together, and depending whether you bind it in a cloth or do something else, they would taste totally different?
Can you ask that in another way? Wait.
So like you were saying with a cloth bound cheddar, and it would taste like, would it taste different if you took the same ingredients that were in this and instead like you put a wax rind in it instead of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So how it's treated changes it, and what's put in it changes. So if you used all the same things you put in it, which is basically the cultures, very little is added to the milk. But what you do to it, so wrapping it in the cloth bound and aging it in a different way. This cheese happens to be a block cheddar, so it gets made and aged in plastic. It gets cryovac and aged that way. So if I didn't put it in that, it would essentially, the reason we put I don't put it on there, but we put the cheesecloth on the cheese is to protect it from any cheese mites or anything, but to also let it dry out. So that is letting air get to it. So it'd be a much drier cheese. It'll be a little more crumbly. And but you can do that. It's just, this
That's
is what
interesting.
this cheesemaker
Just
wanted
because
to do.
I noticed this was actually like a very wet cheddar. So it makes sense now that you're saying about drier versus wetter, because even
Mm-hmm.
though it like breaks apart into those nuggets, it's still like when I took it out, I was like, oh, this is surprisingly moist feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And gosh, I can't remember how far back, but I think it was 2 years ago. If people are really interested, we did do a cheddar box, and we probably back then talked a little bit more about different kinds of cheddar. So it was an all cheddar box, but they were really different. So I think that was the summer of 2019, maybe. People should go take a look. I think it was in August.
I'm
Yeah,
going to say
so
I was
beautiful
very,
cheese.
very pregnant at the time, and that's why I have no memory of this at all. And I'm sure that you already told me all this, and I just can't remember it because
No,
of
no,
that
I mean, that
pregnancy
question
brain.
you hadn't asked, but if
Okay.
people are interested in like how different cheddars, we had us talking about some different cheddars there as well. But no, you hadn't asked that question before. That was a good question. And you're full of good questions. And now I have to make you full of cheese. So let's move to the Toma, aka your toddler's favorite. We'll just call it
Yeah.
the toddler's favorite. We'll rename it. This is a beautiful cheese from Point Reyes.
I think he likes it because it's such a like friendly cheese. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing even offensive about it in any way, and yet it's flavorful. And at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it has a nice mouthfeel. It doesn't like stay in your mouth for a long time. It doesn't feel plasticky or anything like that. It just kind of
Yeah.
disappears. It's one of those cheeses where you could put it on a cheese plate, and I can't imagine a single human being who would be like, I don't like that cheese. It's like the one everybody likes.
Yes. That is exactly the point. It's won a ton of awards. Um, this is all of these cheeses are vegetarian rennet. This is a pasteurized cheese as well, so it's going to have that like taste that sort of ends a little sooner, which is also, we've talked about that before on the podcast about raw milk versus pasteurized. Raw milk cheese's taste will stay with you a little longer. That could be something if somebody didn't care for the cheese, they don't want that to happen. But this is bright, clean. It's only 3 months old, and so it's pretty young. So it hasn't been nuanced at all by age or changed. It is just beautiful cheese, and it's called Toma. And in sort of the history of more European cheese eating making countries, they might have like a village cheese. This village might be known for like this kind of cheese, and they're just called a Toma. The Toma is really the shape. It's just a generic name based on a shape, but it is what they tried to call their village cheese. This is if they had a village in Point Reyes, California, this would be their cheese. So it's really fun, and I think that you're right about the fact that this is a cheese that like nobody would not want to have another piece of. And I think that's an important point to bring up. And I think all of these kind of fall into that category today. I love having a blue cheese. I love funky cheese. You and I both like funky cheeses. And I think though, if we're having people over or we're doing a plate, it's great to have sort of the friendly thing on the plate, and maybe a little more of it if you have some picky eaters, so that there's something for everybody to enjoy. And also like they can eat this and they're happy with it, and then we can eat all the funky ones while we also eat this one as well. This is great to use up any extras, take anything that got left on the platter. You could use in a grilled cheese. It's just beautiful, and we love, gosh, we really love the people at Point Reyes Creamery, and love working with them, and love including their cheeses in our boxes. And yeah, they're fantastic.
It's kind of creamy.
It is so nice. And we should add a third cheese on to this cheese party, and talk about Seascape. This is from Central Coast Creamery. I cut mine in sticks for this one. Oh, and this was an interesting thing to say. So the nice thing about point raised toma, which I cut into triangles, and I did the Seacoast into sticks. Both the Seacoast and the point raised were really nice ones. If you cut them while they're cold, you can cut them. Mine was like in a wedge shape. And so it was very easy to slice like this. I could not have done that with the Prairie Breeze. The Prairie Breeze has all of these, like, it wants to break into these little craters. So knowing your cheese before you go trying to like break your heart, because you're like, I'm going to cut that into those beautiful triangles I see everybody cutting, and then you think you wonder about your cheese cutting skills. It's not you, it's the cheese. So Seacoast and Toma are great ones. You can tell when they crack, if they just sort of crack easily. If when you try to break it, it breaks into this like lava rock looking shape, don't try slicing those into pretty shapes. You'll cut it into a pretty shape, and then you pick it up to put it on the platter. It'll break in half and make you cry. But let's taste this guy.
Not the flavor I expected. Looking at it.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more like the Toma. But it has...
And this has got... Go ahead.
I was going to say it has almost like a mustardy under flavor in it or something like that. It's hard to explain. Yeah. It's deeper and more complex somehow.
I get a little more like sour cream.
I can see that
on there. It's but not sour. It's like melt. The sour cream just as it melts into a hot buttered potato kind of. So there's maybe a little butter. I'm really getting like the freshness of the milk here in a different way than the Toma. And it's so interesting because this is just a 4-month-old cheese, so almost the same age as the Toma, entirely different. Which is, we're spending some time talking cutting cheese shapes. Another reason to cut your cheese shapes different is that one, when somebody comes back, they know which one they tried before, or if they only want to try that one, they'll know which one to grab. But if you cut them all the same, like, we always see the plates where they're just cubed cheeses. You don't know what you had. You don't know when you go back what you had. So we like to eat with our eyes, but I think it's also a good memory thing if you're making a cheese board. If you're just eating it for yourself, just cut off a chunk and enjoy it. But if you're doing it for a board, have fun with shapes. So this one, like I said, is made by Central Coast Creamery. It is also coming from California. So 2 California cheeses and 1 from Iowa. This is from Paso Robles, California. Also, I'm looking at the list of awards here. I put in my notes for today's podcast. The cheesemaker Reggie Jones worked in product development before this, and quality control for cheese. But he decided to branch off and make his own. And I think we're so glad he did. This was founded in 2008, the Central Coast Creamery, and I'm glad they did. It's a really beautiful, we get so many beautiful cheeses out of California.
I feel like someone who worked in quality control is always going to have amazing cheese.
Because they understand when something went wrong, what it did.
Yeah.
And when you can understand what goes wrong, I mean, this in the art world. Julie is a working artist. Mistakes sometimes make the most beautiful new places that you want to go discover with your art. So it's a good thing. Mistakes we learn from, and sometimes good things. Okay, so people, that is our cheese. Now we're going to dive into our pairings, and then we're going to pair some stuff together. So let's start with our popcorn. Now, I don't know if you remember, we had this in one of our boxes.
So I vaguely remember the name because the name is so clever. Bjorn Corn, spelled with a Q. I can get this bag open.
All right, you get the bag open and I'll talk about it.
Okay.
So this is from Kerhonkson, New York. It's near Poughkeepsie. Places in New York for 1,000. And this is made, I just love the idea from this company. So Bjorn is actually a person. They didn't just name it a really cool name. From Minnesota, farmer's son, and Jamie, the other founder, is an artist and inventor, and so they met at Bard College, and I'm sorry, I just said partner. I don't have co-founder. Thank you. So
did you just thank yourself?
I just like got that all mixed up.
I'm just eating popcorn. Okay. I'm enjoying the show.
So the idea is one invented the sun and how to harness the sun. So I think the packaging even says like sun popped corn. It actually is. So they created this enormous mirrored reflector that comes down and pops the corn in the kettles. And these two have just made this really fantastic thing, just using the mind of a farmer's son and a crazy inventor, creative mind, and created this product. I love this. Is this nutritional yeast. This is the first time, not for this box, we sell this in our store as well. First product that I know of that I had tried nutritional yeast on and immediately fell in love with it. This almost tastes like a cheesy popcorn. It's not. It's just the nutritional yeast on it, which is delightful. It's not that popcorn isn't savory, but the nutritional yeast on it, to me, makes it. It gives it umami.
Well, I don't think popcorn is necessarily. Taste. I mean, popcorn is kind of like a carrier food in some ways to me.
That's
like if
very true.
Like plain air popped popcorn, it feels like it doesn't feel like it tastes like a lot. Do you know what I mean?
It's a neutral. You're right. It is.
It's a neutral.
It's a neutral. We'll call it a neutral. It's the beige. But with nutritional yeast, this is like, I don't know, it tastes sunny and warm and weirdly comforting. I don't know. I love the nutty. Whatever memory sensation I'm getting with it is great.
Mm-hmm.
So cool company, Bjorn Corn. I love, I like what they do. I can't wait to see what they do next. And it sells off our shelves like crazy. So of course we had to put this in a box. And next up is a fruit spread, which we have had recently.
Mm-hmm.
This is one, I think your mom stole your last jar.
I did, and I hid and so my baby again got a spoonful of this afternoon very happily. And my partner Steve also said, "Oh, can I try that?" And I was like, "Okay." So then he tried it, and now I know I'm never going to see that jar again because he immediately was like, "I need to make toast."
Yeah, it's the jam that makes you make toast.
Right?
These guys make some really beautiful items. We've had also their maple bacon onion jam, which is amazing. But I love this, and my husband is like, if you ask what his favorite jam flavor is, it is cherry. So we always have cherry jam in our fridge, and he likes a cherry pie, and I just love this.
So I am not a cherry fan necessarily. I like fresh cherries, but I do not like cherry pie, and I do not like a lot of cherry preserves, and I'm not a maraschino cherry person. I love them. So this to me is more akin to fresh cherries than anything else. It's beautiful flavor. Yeah. It's nice and sweet. It just, and I don't think you even need the toast. Just get yourself a spoon.
Yeah. Just one spoon of peanut butter and one spoon of jelly, and who needs bread? I mean, I like bread too, but we don't have to do that. But yeah, it is a really delicious product. They're using Michigan cherries. These guys are out of Ohio. It's Brownwood Farms, and they just like everything they've made that we've tried. And we're looking at bringing some more of their stuff into our store. For those of you who don't know, we own 2 stores in the Boston, Brookline area, cheese stores, and we're looking at bringing more of their stuff in because we discovered these, and it's a weird world right now, and has been for a couple of years with COVID going on and being able to go to food shows and having food shows and all that stuff. So it's been a fun way to be a food store owner, food business owner, and trying to get access to really great companies out there to bring you guys interesting things. So I'm super happy about this one. And I was excited that because we try not to repeat things in our box, but when we brought this new box out, I could repeat some favorites. I was so happy. So we love these guys. Totally check them out. We'll talk about the Instagrams you can follow afterwards. And our last pairing, which is cool because we've had some of these things before. We've had almost all of these things in our other box, but over the last 3+ years, we've never had them together. So the next one is our sweet potato chips. And I can't wait to have these with the cherry jam because I just love the idea of them. So the sweet potato chips are by Billy Goat Chip Company. I love a sweet potato chip. And they make these in small batch. So this is so they started in 2002. There was a Billy Goat restaurant and bar in St. Louis. Is St. Louis's first gastropub. They're making handcrafted, homemade, house-made food. And they began this potato chip production. Just became a signature item on their menu, and then one thing led to another. And by 2009, so 7 years later, they launched Billy Goat Chip Company. And I think I'm glad. I'm glad they did. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Even the bags are filled by hand, so they don't use the addition of nitrogen. They use they have to use special bags so they don't get all squished, but they're hand packed.
They're so good. They're sweet. They're spicy. They're just amazing.
Yeah. Sweet potatoes, canola oil, salt, and spices. I mean, I'd like to say, it's magical, but I think it's like the process of them making them and taking the care with them. And it's really good.
So I have to confess, I'm a little bit confused as to how some of these are going to go together. Not because I don't think that I can pair two together. Like the cheese easily goes with like any of the things. But the jam with the sweet potato is making my brain hurt, or the jam with the popcorn is making me confused. So I'm not sure what your intentions were.
So yeah, that's excellent. Oh gosh, I'm glad you asked me that question because it lets us talk a little bit about this. So because this is our gluten-free subscription, we have to be careful of what we put in here. So, and we don't always put what we call a surface or cracker in every box of our regular one. But when we do, we like it to make sense for some reason. We have a soft cheese in there and we need it. You need something to dip in the cheese to be able to eat it. And here we have, somebody might look at this and go, you have 2 snack foods in this one, popcorn and potato chips. But I would say look at the potato chips as your cracker more, and think about your popcorn as your nuts, because we can't have nuts. So we're going to be thinking as we build these boxes, how do we get those textures of nuts and gluten, or crackers and nuts, without using crackers and nuts? So, and I hope people think about this too. When you were making a plate, you don't just have to go get some lousy gluten-free crackers. If you have a person or a couple people coming to your house and they need gluten-free or need no nuts, there is some fun stuff to put out there that will just sort of change the way people look at it. And it's still delicious. It's you're not losing anything. You didn't put anything yucky on the board because you're I don't like these cardboard crackers or whatever. We've got really great products picked out for our boxes. And so that's what I was thinking about. And for me, the sweet potato, I don't know, there's something about it visually. I love it. And it holds up as a, I mean, I like potato chips on cheese platters. I always look for different ones. We've done dill pickle chips. We've done salt and pepper chips. But what I like about the sweet potato is this one is, I think, really holding its own as sort of a cracker kind of texture for the plate. And I think I would think of it just as I would any kind of sort of full-bodied cracker that I was going to have with cheese. And, the sweet potatoes definitely can go sweet. There's sweet potato pies all the time. But I've been waiting for this bite of cherry and sweet potato because you said it can go sweet, it can go savory.
Okay, I'm doing sweet potato with the first cheese, which I can't remember the name of now, and then the cherry on top.
Prairie Breeze.
Prairie Breeze. I'm nervous. I never would have put that together, and now it's all I want in my mouth. That is so good. The mouthfeel of the cheese, the saltiness of the chip, but it's sweet. The jam. Oh my God. That was so good. Question is, what's the popcorn going to go with? That's my next investigation here. What's your recommendation?
Try it with the third one, the coastal cream. We thought that was like sour cream.
Oh yeah. Okay, popcorn.
Like sour cream and nutritional yeast popcorn.
It adds to the sour creamy ness of it and really brings it out. That's nice. And I think sometimes, do you have to put them all in your mouth at the same time? Not necessarily. You could do it as a taster.
You and I like to try.
Situation. But yeah. And now I am going to dip the toma as if the jam is a dipping sauce.
It is. I mean, it is.
Let's see. Have my jam finger. It's so good.
Now it almost makes the cherry jam taste a little bit like, I think about like a balsamic glaze. It almost makes it taste more savory. It's nice.
Definitely. It's a really nice mix. This is such a nice box, and not to be like a jerk about it in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just going to say this. Sometimes when I hear the words vegetarian or gluten-free or nut-free, I go, ugh, flavor-free.
No fun.
Right? Which is completely not true. And I intellectually understand that, but I've had some bad experiences with those kind of free of this things, meaning that you don't get any flavor, you don't get any taste, you don't get any umami, right? And this completely is not that. I would have no idea that this was anything than a regular curd box. It's amazing.
Yeah. And what I love about it, and because I have people in my family who need these different things, let's see, my headphones just decided to stop working. Okay, they're back now. And I hate that they always have to, it's like not be the center of attention. They're not trying to be the center of attention, but it's always got to come up. Like they can't just live their life without going, that's, don't eat that, do eat this, or they have to ask about everything they have to be able to say, oh, there's no gluten on that, you're good. It's like such a nice thing, it's just an interesting like analogy. I am a taller human for a woman. I'm 5'9.5". And every time I put on a pair of pants that don't reach my ankles, they're like, just wear them as they're short. I'm like, I would like to wear tall pants. I deserve to have pants that go to the top of my foot, and not always have to just wear short pants. And I think that there isn't really anything out there for these three groups of people. We happen to have one product that saves them. It is funny because we had people reach out to us that said, what if I do want meat but don't want gluten or nut? We don't have that option yet, but what we did is create one that can hopefully make a very big group of people very happy knowing you can just enjoy this box. You don't have any bad substitutions. You don't have anybody looking at you cross. I think if I had somebody in my immediate family, I would probably subscribe to this versus the other one and just tell them don't touch the nuts or whatever. I'm super proud of our team that we were able to grow enough in this amount of time and to be able to add on this new box, because there are so many solutions that we have access to, so we can make it like you never have to settle. And in the gourmet food world, especially with cheese, there is nothing like this, and we're so excited to be able to do it. And I'm so glad that you liked the chips with the cherry, and yeah,
it's delicious.
It's a really good box. And I think for those who want to subscribe, resubscribe, so you can subscribe for up to 6 months, and you like this box enough, you can resubscribe and get it again in 6 months from now. But yeah, I'm super proud of this box, and I'm really happy, and I hope people will write in and tell us that they like it, so we can, when we're talking to press and we're talking to people, they can tell us, and we can get more products, no more people to make.
Well, and of course, if
products
one
and
curd
offers
box
like
isn't
this.
enough for you in your life, you can always get the
You can get, they're
second
2 weeks apart, so you could just get 2
curd
boxes a
box all
month,
the
and you
time.
could listen to Julie and I every 2 weeks. And I mean, I like to talk to you more than that, but I'm super excited. These are our American Beauties. So we got Ohio, Iowa, Missouri, California, New York. We got all over the globe, or all over the country. And it was great as always to talk with you, Julie. I'm going to tell them where they can find this stuff. I have to look at my sheets because I can never remember the Instagram tags. Okay, so for Prairie Breeze, our first cheese, you can find them at Milton Creamery. And for the Toma, also known as Toddler's Favorite, they can find them at Point Reyes Cheese. That's PointReyes cheese. Let's see. Our Bjorn Corn is at Bjorn Corn, BJORNQORN. Very creative, fun spelling. Our really delicious chicken cherry spread, and I'll try to find another jar for you, Julie, is at Brownwood_Farms. Let's see. And our Seascape cheese from Central Coast Creamery is at Central Coast Creamery. And the last and the most complicated is the chips are at the_G.O.A.T._brand, the goat brand. And you can follow Julie at What Julie Ate. You can follow us at Curdbox, and you can get your own Curdbox at curdbox.com. You can get, whether it's the Flex box or the OG, the original box, coming to you every month. And thank you, guys. We will see you next month. Be sure to check out our past podcasts if you're new to this, and you'll learn more about cheese and fun stuff like what we like to pair together and all that good stuff. Julie, thanks again for joining me. It's nice to have you on this box podcast as well. And we'll talk to you and everybody else next month. Bye, everybody.